Stacey, if you'll give me a minute to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Stacey Rogers. And the easiest way to sum me up is that I'm a frustrated Kansas business owner that's sick and tired of seeing the people of our state get run over by career politicians and the money that backs them. And we need to do something different in this state. This campaign is for the people. It's not about me. I'm not the important one, but you are. And we've spent far too long, as I've crossed this state and talked with people, all I hear over and over is my voice doesn't matter. Nobody is listening to me and nobody's working for me anymore. And it's time for a change. I believe that Kansas needs to be led by its people again. So one of those things, as I've been listening, is I will be exploring options about a moratorium on wind, solar, and battery storage facilities in this state. And we need to make sure that what we're doing is right for this state and for our future of this state. And I don't believe we have enough information, or we've been given the wrong information over the last 20 or so years. So that's a little bit.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked Bill, since you describe yourself somewhat as an outsider, not a politician. What do you say to those who want someone who's got experience or who knows the players and how to get legislation passed?
Yeah. Well, again, I am also a business owner. I own multiple businesses. One is a nationwide company. I have 28 franchises across the United States. So I am well versed in handling budgets and managing people and departments as well. And so, I think that it does take someone who is a business owner to be able to make those kind of business decisions that are needed for this state.
So let's talk a little bit about property taxes. Kansas has the 14th highest effective property tax rate in the entire country. What would be your number one policy that the state could adopt to try and provide additional tax relief, either property tax or income tax or sales tax for that matter, for Kansas?
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time talking with people, and I really think that it's going to take a multifaceted approach to make a real impact. And I've been talking with county commissioners on ways that things that limit them or would make it easier for them to be able to lower taxes. So we're working on a plan with that. And I'm also, there's things people have talked about, the cap that we could do. I don't think that's we don't have a one size fits all fix. And then also we have an out of control appraisal process going on in the state. And so I think it's going to take a multifaceted approach to really make the real impact that we need in this state.
We've only touched a little bit on education so far. Do you believe that Kansas K-12 schools are adequately funded?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that that 19,000 now, I think the number is, plus, is adequate enough to educate a child? That's in the Wichita School District. Right. So, we actually rank 15 in the dollar amount that we spend per student in the state, and we rank 34 in outcomes. And so as a parent of 3 boys, they're now all grown. One of them's here today in the back there. Raise your hand. Okay. I have been a former public school, private school, and homeschool parent. And so I have 2 kids that had special learning challenges. So I have seen all the ways that you can educate in this state. And, I pulled my kids out and homeschooled. I pulled out of public school because what's happening inside of our public schools right now? There's a lot of indoctrination. There's a lot of very interesting things being taught. And we're seeing that. Wichita just reported that they had, a 3% decrease in their enrollment. And they tried to kind of pass it off as it was because of declining birth rates. That may be a little bit of it, but it's really because of the mass exodus of people wanting to properly educate their kids in this state and understand what needs to be put in front of them. And, educating our kids is the paramount. And so when we are talking about the amount of money spent, there are plenty of private schools out there that don't cost $19,000 a student, and they're doing a fantastic job. So that really begs the question of, why are teachers still funding their classrooms? Why are parents still required to bring items into the schools? Why are we having leaking buildings and non-working HVAC systems? And we have some of the worst outcomes in getting children ready for adulthood.
Do you support school choice?
Yes, I do. I support educating the child the way that they need to be educated. And, we already have a version of school choice where if you can get your kid to that school, then they can go to that school. Okay. Or you can choose that. But I, my personal experience having children in all of those arenas, and I saw my child thrive in one and die in another. And so if we are not, our education system should be about our children, period, and making sure that they are prepared for adulthood. And so we need to be looking at those. What is the best thing for our children?
You are one of, make sure, yep, you are one of only two of the candidates here this evening who did not sign the state party's pledge in order to participate in the first debate in January. What message do you think you're sending to the party by not participating?
Well, I don't know what message I'm sending to the party, but what I'm sending to the people is the fact that this was not a choice that I made lightly. This was a choice because it is limiting your voice. And so when I'm told the who, what, when, where, how of how I can speak and how you will be able to hear from the candidates, that's a problem. Because this campaign does not belong to the establishment, it belongs to the people of this state. Okay, and as your governor, that is not only is this campaign yours, but as your governor, if elected, my office will also be yours.
Can't argue with that.
Okay.
Let me ask you this: what do you think of the constitutional amendment that's going to be on the ballot next week? At the same time as this it's a primary, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. So I know the history on that. If you haven't heard the history of it, I'll be happy to share it with you. You can also look up the Kansas triple play. That gives you a good history of it. But yeah, we have a few non-elected people making all of the decisions of who sits on that Supreme Court. None of us as voters gets a say in that. And that's just plain wrong. And we've seen what has happened because of that. And we need to switch that so that we can start making some good, solid decisions in this state and not having everything we do practically being challenged.
What's your position on life? Do you support any exceptions? Are there? What was your stand on the value of both of them?
Yeah, well, I voted for that. And so I am pro all life, and I like to make that distinction because that includes the unborn, our children, our disabled, and our elderly, and everybody in between. But those four particular groups of our citizens are the most unheard, unseen, taken advantage of, manipulated, groomed, and used. And we need to protect those people in our society.
You're giving me great answers, but because she's giving me such good, succinct answers, I think we'll run through all my questions.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's good. One of our vendors here this evening is the Kansas State Rifle Association.
Oh.
So I'm able to actually get to a Second Amendment question. What's your stand on the Second Amendment? Concealed carry and red flag laws.
Yeah, I support the Second Amendment completely, 100%. I believe in our Constitution. Yeah, our constitutional rights and freedoms are incredibly important, and we need to uphold those.
Again, this is the question everyone is going to get. What is if you do not win the nomination, if you are not the candidate, will you support the eventual Republican nominee?
Okay, so I did not sign the Republican contract, and I know that Philip mentioned that he did. Ultimately, what Joy said earlier, yes, I'll support the Republican candidate because the alternative is not good. Okay, but not all Republicans are created equal, and I think that the important thing is to make sure that we get the right Republican through that primary, someone who is wanting to work for the people and take care of our Kansans the way that we deserve to be taken care of.
I'll take a moment. Does anybody wonder why I'm asking that question? You just raise your hand. So anyone has any questions why I asked that question? I'll give you 2 words. Dead as flat.
Right. I will not run as an independent.
with your last minute, I will give you a chance to give us a close.
Okay. So, I think that we need a governor that trusts her people And the people of this state are valuable, and we need to be listening to them more. So I would be honored to earn your trust and your support and your prayers. And, you know, I guess your last question would be how they can reach me. You can find out more about me on any social media platform out there. If you Google my name, you're going to find a ton of content. And then you can get to my website at stacyrogers4forks.com.
Round of applause for Stacy.